Hey, 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 welcome. Monday night episode, Cattle Drive Live, hosted by myself, Brett Carter, and my big buddy, Corey Thompson.
How you doing tonight, Brett?
Hey, I'll tell you how I'm doing tonight. I have just about chewed my darn fingernails off in anticipation of, since noon today, of getting to sit down with our special guest.
You bet. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, I'm telling you, we had somebody on the hook. Fish got off the hook about noon, and we cast it. I'll say something about me and you real quick. We ain't scared to go try to find a big fish with a little bitty Snoopy pole, are we?
Yep, we got us a largemouth.
Oh, yep. Buddy. Hey, let's get rolling tonight because I can promise you when we get to the meat and potatoes tonight, buddy, it's going to take a big fork. So, hey, segment one. Hey, what do I see all the way around this computer screen tonight? There's something with a 605 sires and donors. Do you know anything about that?
605 is tonight's sponsors. Of course, I work for 605. We offer a custom sire collecting site where we free semen on your top sires. We're kind of everything to do with bovine reproductive technology. We also offer an ABS IVF location. We got donor housing where you can IVF those donors at our facility, and we keep them there, or you can haul them in off your operation if you're close enough to the Marion location there here in South Dakota. We offer embryo implanting in your embryos. We're both on farm, or you can haul those in and we can do those implants on site. We offer a full range of AI supplies and breeding supplies for your AI season. We're a Sullivan supply dealer. That's something that not a lot of people know about us. We do offer quite a few Sullivan supplies on site, and we can order those in from Dunlap for you. We're an Umbarger's feed dealer and a Vitaferm products dealer as well to cover all your feed needs. So that's kind of the ins and outs of 605, Brett.
My gosh, sounds like a guy. If a guy just wheeled in there with an empty trailer, he can come out there with a semen tank full of juice and a trailer load of feed and
we'll get you all set up.
Donor housing. How are you set up there in terms of quantity of donors that you can keep or bulls that you can keep at that?
Yep. When we get to the peak of the season, we'll top out about 110 bulls, just a shade over 100 bulls. Donor wise, we've got probably, I'm going to guess there's about 50 around there right now. We can probably house up to 70. But yeah, we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome. One-stop shop for all things reproductive needs bovine wise.
Yep.
Thanks to 605 sires and donors. I know it's new. This whole deal of having episode sponsors is new, but I knew good and well that Corey Schrog, he was already itching to be a part of this deal just because of you. But man, he said, why wasn't I first? And so show circuit beat him to the punch last week, and he said, I don't like to be second very often, but we do appreciate Corey and Melissa for being a part of Cattle Drive. So. Hey, let's roll in segment one, coffee shop, current events within agriculture. And, man, big weekend of showing these things fired up. Kansas Beef Expo this weekend had Brandon Callis and Kendall Bremer. And you were actually at that show, weren't you?
Yes, we were, Brett. We drove down there to Hutchinson, Kansas, and we took part in that show. Awesome event. And actually, I just kind of stepped back there Saturday afternoon and was kind of checking it out, and I ran into Quentin Hudskowski down there that's the manager of that show, and I actually got him pinned down and did a little interview with him. Right. Hey guys, we come to you today from down here in Kansas. We have with us Quentin Hudskowski, the manager of the Kansas Beef Expo down here, and we just wanted to have him on today. Hell of a show out there. Very well put together. Where are you at numbers this year, Quinn?
We are down just, as of now, we haven't got all the steers checked in. We're down just a little bit from last year, but we're still where we were the years before that. Usually last year we were just over 700 head. This year we're probably 600 to 650, kind of depending on when we tally the steers in. But we had 350 little heifers today, and I think 70 big heifers yesterday, and 22 fat steers. So
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it was just a tremendous event. Sure want to thank Quentin and all the people that runs these shows. We always mention the judges and where they were at and how they happened, but them people behind the scenes that put in the hours to put them on is how it gets done.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking about those ink pens that are clicking, and that Mississippi Beef Expo fired up this weekend with Blake Bloomberg and Todd Herman, the Ohio AGR, Miles Tenius, and Chris Cassidy. And Illinois had one too. What was that? Was it the winter
warm-up? Yep, winter warm-up.
Nick Fitzsimmons and Stephen Myers. All of those results are posted on the Pulse, powered by Sullivan Supply. So find your way in there and check that out. So, hey, segment 2, the banker's cut is a little odd this week. The our old standby buddy is busy. He got hung up at the NFR. They had actually called him in to fight the 10th round because that bullfighter got hurt. And I imagine we'll have to hear all about that next week. But instead, hey, what about this video floating around? Is it Kevin Mears?
A buddy of mine sent me this video this week. Kevin Mears taking pictures. He's got his little son out there, John David Mears, helping him in the picture pen, getting ears.
Yeah.
He gets to doing a little somersault. There you go.
Oh, man.
It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Hey, I'll tell you what, anytime that you can include your kids in agriculture and what you do and hopefully cultivate that into their minds, I don't care if you're taking pictures into picture pens or you're checking sows at night, it don't matter. Man, anytime somebody includes their kids, I'm a big fan. So, hey, segment 3, the herd report, weekly sale report. SC Online Sales was a happening place this week, wasn't it?
You bet it was. We had a drive marketing deal last week for Jared Boyer and Jake Bloomberg there. Their bred heifer sale. That went on to average 7,028 on 35 lots. Had a high sellers of 19,000 and 18,000 on that sale.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Can't beat that a bit.
No doubt. Justin Muck here in South Dakota, his bred heifer sale was this week. Sells 29 head, averages 6,900. Sells one for $18,000, $14,000, $13,000, and $12,000 respectively.
Yeah. Hey, what about this Rosebud cattle deal that fired up this week? 33 head, average $10,397.
Yep, that's Dave Ward's outfit there in Kansas.
Yeah, they sell Red Angus for $52,000.
Holy buckets!
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Phil Hall back there. He sold a bred heifer for $13,000 on his sale this last week, and Simon and Newton had a top seller at $10,000 on their sale.
Yeah. Hey, I got a text from Graham Blogg. That poor guy there. I don't know how he's going to pay his bills having sales like these next 3, because they had JS Scimitals over the weekend. 24 head of those things averaged $15,989. They had a high seller of $44,000 who was a sib to the current Louisville champion purebred semi. They also sell a full sib to the ever popular Boots that we may hear about later today for $28,000 at that deal. Yep.
Hey, congratulations to the entire Steenhook family on that. Good people, good operation.
Yep, you bet. Yep. Signature collection, Schaefer and Udale. Tell them about that.
You bet. They sell 58 head, average 5,062 on that set. Tim Schaefer and that crew out in Indiana got together. That sale was actually in Sioux City there at Udell's site. And then we're going to wrap it up with the, one for the record books for the year at Hartman Cattle down there in Tecumseh, Nebraska. Mike and his boy Dalton, they sell 30 head and grossed 1.18 million. 22 purebreds averaged 40,636. 8 percentage Simmentals averaged 20,250. Top seller was a Rebel daughter that brings 225,000, selling to Charles Herbster there in Nebraska.
Yeah, you betcha. Wow, isn't that just incredible? I mean, you talk about selling 30 head of them and gross 1.1. That's riding a big fast horse.
Yep.
So I don't think that's the first fast horse that crew's been on either, though.
No, that's for sure. Well, let's get into this.
Hey, I mean, I cannot wait to welcome our guest of I feel honored. I was picking on him a little bit ago and told him, I think after tonight's episode, I think he's going to take over Facebook Live from Kent Jakey. I just see. Hey, look at him.
I can promise you that won't happen, Brad.
Hey, well, it's my pleasure. I know it's Corey's pleasure to have John and Jeannie Griswold on Cattle Drive Live tonight. I'm telling you, we laughed at it at the first of the show. Corey and I weren't afraid to throw a lure in a big pond to try to catch a big fish. And man, did we ever catch a couple of industry giants tonight in YouTube. But John, Jeannie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. John's tickled pink.
He looks like
it. Yeah. Hey, let's get right into this stuff. Griswold Cattle, Stillwater, Oklahoma. I mean, tell us a little bit. Tell us about yourself. Let's just start kind of on the surface here and talk about John and Jeannie and the family real quick.
Well, I started when I trading cattle here and clipping. In 81, I came to school here. I grew up in Wisconsin, and my folks moved down, and they bought a place in Miami, Oklahoma, and I came to college here, and I just started clipping. I didn't know anybody here when I came here.
You need to realize how green he was when he came. He says he used to put his dirty clothes in his suitcase, and he would pull it down the road to go and do his laundry.
Yeah, I was really green.
They call him Yankee.
But I actually met a guy pulled in here tonight, Eddie Smith, with the first semester at college. They had the county fair out here, and I drove out there to the county fair, and I asked somebody, I said, who's got the best steers in the barn? They said, well, no doubt Eddie Smith. So I walked up to Eddie Smith, and I said, Eddie, my name's John Griswold, and talked to him for a minute. And I said, I'd sure like to help you with your calves today. And anyway, I guess was never afraid of rejection, so.
Never afraid of rejection.
That's kind of how I started in Stillwater.
I gotcha.
And then I just started looking for people and trading a few steers. Remember one of the first steers I traded, I bought for $400 and sold for $1,500. And I'm like, I could not believe you can make money that easy.
I gotcha. Hey, so your start in Oklahoma started at Oklahoma State, obviously, just in your story there. I know that you were an AGR, things like that. But you're currently, you must have really just loved Oklahoma to come wheeling in here in college and just never leave.
Well,
what was it about Stillwater?
My mom and dad, I'd heard about Oklahoma my whole life growing up because that's where they went to school. So
John was actually born in Stillwater.
Yeah, I was born here.
And then they went back to Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
And so anyway, all I'd ever heard about is going to OSU. So there was really no question where I was going.
But John has
There's
said
a
that.
picture of my old dad right there. I sure miss him, but he's the reason. I think about Jeannie and I got 4 kids, and I think about how he must have moved. He moved 6 kids across the country to an unknowing situation. And because he knew his kids were deeply wanted to have something to do with cattle, all of them. All my brothers are deeply rooted in the cattle business. And for him to do that was I mean, it's hard for me to comprehend how he did that.
Right.
You bet. And Joe, he traded a lot of cows down there, didn't he?
He actually worked. Now that's my Uncle Pat you're talking about.
Your Pat. Okay, yeah.
He trades a lot of bulls and a lot of cows still, but my dad, he farmed in Wisconsin, had a really nice a herd of Angus cows, and that's when we moved down. He brought those Angus cows.
He brought those cows down. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you bet.
So when he brought those Angus cows to Oklahoma, obviously, are we talking about a big herd? Or are we talking about a small herd?
No, it wasn't a big herd, Brett. It was maybe a couple hundred.
Okay.
I don't remember, maybe 150. But my dad, I mean, I like cattle like he liked them. He liked them chubby, stout, good looking, and that's still what we got to have today. I mean, that's what we like for our cow herd.
You know, I actually found one of their sale catalogs yesterday. I was trying to get things cleaned up for this sale, and there's a sale catalog in there, and it really surprised me to go back to the same type and kind that they were raising back then. I mean, they were big-bodied and had some volume and some depth to them and still had some look, and it really kind of took me back just a little bit to realize, I mean, we still follow that same type and kind. Tell them what that is, John.
That bull right there, that was my granddad showing him. And that bull won Chicago in 1971. That was an Angus bull that my granddad found in a feed yard down here. He was Bob Hartley's bull, and he didn't even call Bob. Somehow he got him out of there, and he called him on the way back. He said, that bull's too good to be in a test station. He said, I'm taking him. We're going to show him in Chicago. So anyway, that's the story on that bull.
Let's go.
Now, is that Spur?
I think that might be Gold.
Isn't that
I think that's Spurmulus Master, who was the sire of Gold Spur 8 Million.
I got you. Wow. And that's your granddad right there showing that bull.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
And actually, not in that picture, but Greg and I are in that picture with our little hats with about a 2-inch brim on it. And actually, Greg gave him that hat. I don't know where mine is, but Garrett wears it all the time.
No kidding.
Oh, wow. So you talked a little bit about your dad and the Angus cow herd that they had and maintained. Were those cattle that y'all started with as a family, were they show oriented? Were they, what was the driving force behind them? Because it sounds like they were either ahead of their time or they were outliers. What's the deal there?
Well, we showed, it was a lot different then growing up. I mean, we'd go to 3 or 4 shows a year, go to the state fair. There was an Angus, So, yeah, we showed and we did okay. We didn't win everything, but we did okay. I mean, we weren't big, huge show people, but we'd go to 3 or 4 big shows, state fair, junior heifer show. And we never won it, but we dang sure did all right. Greg won the steer show at the state fair one year.
It will tell you the power of those cow families, though. That 066 cow family goes back to that exact same herd of cattle. And I mean, that cow family it's still the basis of our program. Everything kind of focuses around just a few select cow families, and we've kind of bred onto them and just really used them to advance our genetics and our program.
Yeah.
066 was in that cow herd that came down.
Yep.
Oh, so the original, the 066 that 5066 stems from came down from Wisconsin in the original herd.
He was born in 80.
Wow.
And I
1980.
think at one time, we had like 32 either daughters or granddaughters that were in our herd that stemmed back
Just to her.
just to her. I mean, and
Really?
it wasn't like they were just cows. It was, they're like cornerstone to the program.
Wow.
You bet.
And 066, she's got a pretty good story. Dad ended up having to sell or sold. He had an Angus dispersal. A good friend of ours, Todd Thrasher, came to that dispersal sale, and we told Todd all the good cows. Well, he bought all the good cows. Well, then there was, I don't know the timeline, but maybe 2 or 3, a couple years later, maybe just a year later, Ron Cole sold a load of, he had 250 cows for sale, and Todd Thrasher bought them. But when he bought them, he wanted to sell those cows. So I got to buy those. I don't know how many was, not very many, 15 maybe of those cows back. And 066 was in that group of cows that I bought from Todd. And Ron Cole gave me 5% to sell those cows. He wrote me like a $17,000 $500 check, and I bought those cows from Thrasher for $17,000. And then that was, I never, I couldn't believe somebody would pay a guy $17,000. I mean, I said, "Oh, Ron, you don't have to pay me that." And he goes, "No." He goes, "The deal's a deal." And he wrote me a $17,000 check for selling those cows. So
wow.
And then that cow came back, and she had a shakedown heifer calf on her that was really good. And that cow was just what I'm talking about: stout, moderate, good looking, hairy. I mean, just an awesome cow. And every cow that like when Jeannie came here, almost every patch you go in, you can almost trace the best looking one in every patch.
You go through and be like, "What's she?" He's like,
yeah.
"That's no."
And somehow that will trace back to that cow. That cow just had an unbelievable cheap stamp.
And that was an Angus cow family. That's one thing to know is that 066 cow family is not just like it's in our main cow base, because that's where chill factor and everything stems from, of course. Yeah. But that's in our semi base. It's in our Angus base. It's in our main base. I mean, 5066 is hands down probably the most famous cow family out of that. But I mean, her daughters, like Legacy stems back to that 066 cow family. I mean, there's several of those bulls and of those females that go back that genetic line. If you see on the bottom, there's a rhyme and reason to it.
You bet.
Wow.
Hey, you both stem back from, just very elite cattle. Your parents lived and breathed this, right? Jeannie's dad, Gib Yardley, had numerous great bulls that have helped many, many breeds. I tell people one of the best accomplishments that I ever had, honestly, was Gib came to our bull sale one year and bought a bull. And to me, what's that?
I remember that. I went with him.
To me, everybody has, what they consider success. And to me, when you get a true cattleman like Gib Yardley to your sale and sell him one, you're doing something right, And, but, you guys' operation right now, it's a family operation, just like what you grew up in, correct?
Oh, heck yeah. I think John and I would both say, sorry, and I'm going to be kind of like John. I get kind of emotional. Dad isn't coming back to our sale this year. He's, how old is he going to be?
89 in the spring.
89. He's petrified of COVID. Petrified of it.
I am too.
Yeah, but he, I say that all the time. Everything that John and I both are, we owe to our parents. I mean, I think my dad, when you say that, I think of him as one of the greatest cattlemen that I've ever met. And he's my dad, and I have the utmost respect for him. I remember coming home from college, and he worked me. I mean, he was in his 70s. And I remember going home at night, and he was running circles around me, and I was exhausted. I'm like, I don't know how I can keep up with him. He's one of the hardest working men I've ever been around, and has a true passion for this industry. I owe him John and I's relationship. Dad and John, this is something I think we've touched on it someplace when we've talked to somebody, but probably a lot of people don't know this. John went and helped Cal Herring, who he also attributes a lot of his success to. And if you don't know Cal, he's one of the neatest guys that ever lived. He was part of the original exposure sale. So there's some of you that still remember that. I wish everybody had a chance to know him, but Dad and Cal used to pen feeder calves next to each other in Denver. And one year there was a guy that couldn't show up to help Cal. What was his name?
Ronnie Smith, I think.
Anyway, Cal says, well, you think this John Griswold's good enough to come and clip on my calves?
He just about didn't let me go.
You can't.
Hey, look there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you said that one, Jeannie.
I was trying to hustle. I had a little on my plate today. But John went back and helped him clip, and that's how my dad got to know John Griswold. And so John and I have a little bit of age in between us, but from the time I was a little bitty girl, I heard about John Griswold, and my dad thought a lot of him. And I think that's one thing about John and I is I really love John, but I really have a lot of respect for John. And I'm his wife, and I still respect the amount of hustle and drive and passion that he has. I mean, sometimes I wish he would slow down just a little bit. I tell him all the time we can have just as much fun with 400 head of cows as we do with 2,000. In fact, probably a lot more. But he's a flat out hustler, and I mean, it's been a lot of fun. But Dad was kind of the one who was instrumental in us meeting. My dad had always had a lot of respect for Griswold's program. He'd known John's grandpa and John's dad, and of course, Spremulus Master. And anyway, so there's a lot of history there, a lot of it.
You bet. Hey, talk to us about taking care of those 2,000 head of cows. Who do you got for around there for a crew?
We got an awesome crew. We got Josh Taylor. He's unbelievable. He does all the breeding, all the embryo work, all the paperwork, and his knowledge is unbelievable. And then Jordan is in the background of that picture. He's kind of runs the show cattle over here. He does everything, really. He does the show cattle. He does a lot of the show cattle at the other barn with Cody Nuffman. He's awesome. He can do anything. Macy in the office and semen sales is unbelievable. Cameron and my cousin Tyson and Poto are awesome. I mean, my brother Greg does a lot. Grant Johnson, Diane Johnson's brother, he does all the feeding.
I think you guys, it's hard almost to name all the people that are around here. I think this is such a big operation. Today, I was looking outside here, and of course, we're getting ready for the sale. We've got employees out there right now that are unloading all of these babies. I mean, these guys eat, live, and breathe it. And to touch on all of the employees, it is an army. I mean, it was like there was people going everywhere, every which way. There's different people hauling bunks. They're bringing cattle over. John decides he's going to start a project 5 minutes before the sale starts. They're putting tin on a lean-to on the side of the barn. They're out there picking gravel. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable how everybody takes their part and runs with it. I think a lot of times, a lot of focus gets put on John and Jeannie, and this is not just our program. We have got Macy's baby is due on the 20th. She's going in to have an elective C-section on the Monday after we get done with our sale, and she's in there editing videos right now. I mean, I know I'm kind of emotional, but our crew. You're not pregnant. I am not. Okay. All right.
I had a bet with Jakey on that last year, and I want to stay giving out of it.
And then Jakey does he's the kind of the traveling, he goes everywhere selling semen. He's a big part of here. I mean, I talk to him every day. I think yesterday I didn't talk to him. I called him today. I'm like, that's the first time I don't know how long it's been since we haven't talked. But anyway, I really can't say enough. Like Jeannie, I can't say enough about the people that are here. And, there's been awesome people that's been here and moved on. Craig Sand, Shannon Cook, Luke Dorson. I'm so proud for what all they've done. But I will say something about this crew. There was big shoes to fill this year. There was a lot of changes here. And I am so proud of the way this crew that I have right now, or that we have, has stepped up. And these cattle look incredible. They, like Jeannie said, they work daylight till dark, and it doesn't matter. On Thanksgiving, most of them were out doing, clipping, or it's videoing, or it's just, it never ends. A
sale of this magnitude, I don't think that anyone. Unless you, if you've had a sale, you know what goes into it. And a sale this big, it starts the year before, but come July, I always enjoy those first few months of summer, because come July, it's fixing to end. You've got early ads, you've got babies that are coming in the barn, you're weaning, you're sorting, you're going through pastures, you're figuring out what's going to be in, data and preg checking and I mean, it is every single day is hustle, 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 hustle from July until now to pull this thing off. And when we pull it off, you know, we had a deal. We're putting out a video here on the sale the other day, and she asked Jordan, she says, what's your very favorite, Jordan and Macy both, she says, what's your favorite time? And Macy says, when those cattle start coming into the ring and you realize there's nothing else that you can do, that everything comes down to that point and that everything's done. And then Jordan brought up how awesome it is when those little ones start coming in, and here you've prepped and prepped. I mean, those guys have been over there rinsing and blowing and clipping since July on all of them. I mean, all they're breaking 50 head of calves and getting them to this point. And not just to this point. John came home the other night and he says, you ought to see those things. He says they are so dialed in. It is unbelievable. I mean, they're this elite set. And so these guys have put all of this emotion and heart and soul into it. And you go through 400 head of cows. That's a lot of cattle to go through. And it's late at night. And a lot of people get tired and go home. And he says, and that first baby comes in the ring. And he says, and it is standing room only. He's like, that is an emotion and like a pride that comes into you that's indescribable. And I would have to agree with that. I mean, it's emotional to get to this point of a sale just because of how much heart, soul, and hard work goes into it.
Right, John. So, and Jeannie as well. When the classic, it's probably one of the most anticipated. It's one of the most anticipated catalogs in the business, and I say that with respect to the other people in the business too. But it's easy to flip through that catalog and see quality in terms of pictures. But let's go back to the influential stuff that you get to see. The influence of 066, the influence of whiskey, the influence of Chill Factor, Steel Force, Broker. You still talk about Gold Standard and what he means to that program. Talk about some of that. Just take just a second and let's tell the story. You hit on 066 and how 5066 is the matron today, but there was another cow or two, 1829, L901. Hey, take a minute and talk about that influence.
1829 was, I mean, arguably as good or better than 5066. She was a cow. She's got a good story too. Dale Newman and Todd Thrasher raised the year when they had a bunch of Chill Factor daughters. Dale and Todd picked their top 10 Chill Factor daughters. The 11th pick they gave to the man that worked for him, Manuel, and they liked him so good they gave him the 11th pick. The 11th pick was 1829. And now don't take anything away from Todd and Dale. Those two guys know more about cattle than anybody. 1829 would not blow you away to look at her. I mean, she's a nice looking cow. She wouldn't, but that cow had more genetic punch than any cow I've ever seen. But anyway, then Dale sold her and Todd in one of their sales, and she had Cerveza on her side.
Now tell about walking.
And I walked in this pen, and this cow has been in heat. She has no hair, and she's a little off in her hip anyway. Has no hair from her pins back. She looks wretched. And then there's this calf beside her, and I'm like, I mean, I was in that pen 30 seconds. I was with Bruce West. I'm like, that's the best freaking calf I've ever seen in my life. And I turned around and walked out of that pen, and I said, we're not walking in that pen one more time today. And I mean, we didn't look at that thing for 30 seconds. And that thing, she sold that day, and we bought that pair. And anyway, we sold Cerveza that fall. But that cow's raised countless females. She's raised Wizard. I mean, I can remember looking at Wizard in the show barn in Mozingo's like, that bull is awesome. What do you want for that?
And Mozingo, I don't know if any of you know Mozingo.
Oh, they all know
not
Mozingo.
like Simmental.
But, you know, and now she's got another bull that we think's one of the most underused bulls we got, Making Time. Those are going to be unbelievable females too. I mean, that cow has just got punch.
But even her daughters, that's what's cool. Z450 is one of her daughters is sitting out in the field. And I mean,
she's the mother to Lot 101.
Mother to Lot 101. And 1 year, I think she raised like $40,000 worth of little ones in the sale. I mean, and even 1829, she has made a lot 101. We had one year, I think we had 101.
C450.
Yeah, 101, 102, 103, 104 were all 1829 daughters. And not just like, oh, those are good cattle. No, it was, those are flipping amazing. She outproduced herself every single time. I mean, it is absolutely incredible what that cow did. We just lost her here. I've got to tell you, she did not have a tooth left in her head. And we brought her up to the show barn, and Macy babied her some and take her feed. Well, then it was Garrett's turn to take her feed out in the pasture every single night, because she was about as slick mouth as you could make one. And he came out one night and he was just bawling. I mean, he was beside himself. And he says, Dad, 1829 can't get up. And
she was 20 years. That's the only cow I've ever seen that lived till 20. She was for a true 20-year-old cow.
You know, I was at your place this spring, real quick. I don't even know why I stopped in. I was dropping something off or whatever. I had the pleasure, but you said, hey, you got 5 minutes? And I said, yeah, what do you got? He said, I want to take you to the donor pen real quick. And I got to see 1829. I got to see, I think it was Maternal Maid's mother, 004.
Yeah.
I mean, there was 20 cows there that I've heard about. I know their numbers. I see their influence. But I got to ride in the mule with John and look at those things and see some of the very first end games on those donors. And I mean, it was, hey, I felt like I was getting treated, you know, like I was riding with Jerry Jones and he just drove me right through the middle of the Cowboy Stadium. You know, I mean, I'm just saying it was so awesome to get to see those cows that, you know, most people, you hear about them, you don't ever get to see them.
You know, 004, we don't talk about that cow as much as we should, but like you look at her influence in that book this year, that's what John says. It didn't matter how we crossed that cow flat out clicked with everything. And that's Maternal Maid's dam. And I mean, you're going to see a lot more out of that female. She's incredible.
Right.
And then looks tremendous. Whiskey was the bull. I mean, we had Chill Factor, but Whiskey for me was the one that really, I mean, he was the game changer. He actually, Todd and Dale raised him and brought him down here, and we sold him in the exposure sale in that Christie put on down. That was in 01. And that bull there, I mean, he did, and that's about the same time. It was a little bit after, actually, we bought the Birkeland cows in South Dakota, and he clicked so unbelievably good on those cows. I mean, we'd come in at night breeding 60 cows, and there'd be 58 of them bred to Whiskey. I mean, they were just clicked with those cattle like you cannot believe.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that bull never worked and still doesn't work today. You know, I mean, it's he's in a lot of pedigrees. If you look I mean, oh my goodness. You know, and he works in the main deal. He works in the club calf deal. I mean, if it's not directly an Irish whiskey, you can almost find them somewhere if the bull's real good. Right. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
What about you, Corey? You said there was a cow or two that kind of had you interested to ask about.
Well, what about? Tell us the story of L901.
When we bought Steel Force, Billy Hall had been asking me about Steel Force or about a semi bull, and this is when we were just really doing mains, and then Roger Toole was buying all our main calves in South Dakota, and he goes. One day I said, what's your favorite calf to feed? And he said, semi-Angus. I said, even better than these mains? He goes, not the whiskeys are just as good, but most of the time he said, I'd rather feed a semi-Angus. So anyway, I kind of got thinking about semis a little bit. And then Billy Hall said, if you ever see a really good semi bull, you know, let me know. He goes, we want the best one that's out there. Well, I mean, I kind of put it in the back of my brain, didn't think much about it. Greg Bird and I were driving through Nebraska, and he goes, hey, let's pull in here. So we pulled into this place, and he had Steel Force. And anyway, long rigmarole later, anyway, with the help of Billy Hall, we got that bull bought. And he did a lot, you know, for the semis. He was incredible. He was like third in before. I found this out later. He was like third in Denver as a calf, but that bull was too chunky and too small to show. But he was perfect for what we were doing. I looked at that bull in the bull stud up there, and I could not believe how good that bull looked. I mean, he was a beast.
So was that a package deal? You bought him and
Yeah, and then
901?
we bought him. Then we thought we better go buy the cow also. So we got the cow bought. And anyway, he went on to sire. I don't know how many he sired.
One year we did our sire book, and I think that almost every single bull in there, except for 1 or 2, went back to Still Force. I mean, the punch that bull carried, a lot of it went back to L901. That was the biggest footed, biggest legged cow you've ever seen your whole entire life. I mean, when she moved, the ground moved with her.
She was a beast.
She was a beast.
Actually, Mark Gray had her, and I think she was reserve in Denver, wasn't she, Corey?
Yeah, I believe that's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the last cow we wanted to ask you about was the, I think you got some of her genetics highlighting the sale is the Boots donor.
Right. Well, you mentioned Steenhooks earlier, and you know how good their semis are. And she sold, I think, at the Iowa Beef Expo, and Craig was there. And anyway, he called and said how good this heifer was, and he bought her. And that cow there she won all the majors and won the junior national. Jake was here then, and he showed her. But that cow, for as phenomenal as she was on showing, she's even better on what she produces. I mean, that cow's got punch like no other. I mean, she's got to be one of the most prolific semi cows there is.
She outproduces herself.
I mean,
every time. We have daughters out here that are in production right now, and it is absolutely incredible to me. Like, we've got Mittens is a heifer that Beatty's had and promoted a couple of years ago. And we have some tall heifer calves and Relentless Mittens, and every single one goes through and it's just boom, 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 boom. I mean, and her daughters are just going to be like that. Like, they're going to actually outproduce her. It's crazy how that just goes down through the generations on that cow.
Well, if anybody comes to the sale, we got like 3 bulls we're going to have on display. One's a County O, one's a Relentless, and one's a Sam, all out of Boots. And they're all 3 really, really good.
I'm pretty sure at Kansas Beef Expo last weekend, the champion Simmental that I think Beatty's had a Relentless Boots that they sold in their sale.
Yeah,
she wins the semis there. Yeah,
summer late.
Yep, very good effort. You bet.
Yeah, so sitting here visiting with you, I think this whole thing is built up to, I mean, what would you say, Corey? One of the most anticipated production sales of the main business, the Simmental business, the Angus business, if you want to say the club calf, the cattle business, the classic. I think what we've done tonight is be able to visit with you guys and get some background out of John and get some of your thoughts on how you started and built Griswold Cattle. But what the world doesn't know is the next couple of nights we're going to shoot some drive marketing videos with you two and go in depth in not only the bred division, but the open division. And I'm so excited to get to visit with your crew. I don't know who we're going to get to visit with just yet.
I think that's going to be Jakey.
He stopped by the house right before I came up here. I'm pretty sure Jakey.
Yeah, I think he's got that.
I think he's pretty pumped about it.
That's okay. Hey, Corey and I are too.
Candy store when you talk about Jakey's putting his face on here. Jakey, I'm sure you're listening. I'm just giving you a little stab right in the rib.
Yeah, that's all right. No, but I mean, I think that being able to visit with your crew, whether it's Jakey or we're going to get maybe some Josh or get to visit with Jordan as well about the opens and the breds and everything that this sale is hyped up to be. Tonight was great. I don't know about you, Corey, but the next 2 nights are going to be exciting too.
By the looks of that catalog, it's going to be a blast. You bet.
guys are going to have a lot of fun. That's what's fun about going through these cattle is there's so many of them that aren't pictured, don't have a footnote, and they're out in front of my house. And I told John, I'm like, I wish we could just leave them out there and watch them all the time. It is an absolute.
I'd like to leave them out there and let them calve and see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jakey called me a couple days ago, and there's a new edition out of 1829 in the sale. Has no footnote, no picture, no anything. I mean, this thing is a beast, and I mean, there's a lot. That's the thing about this sale is if you come here I mean, we all talk about what those really good ones bring, and who knows what they'll bring this year. But anyway, I guarantee you there's cattle at this sale that you can sit there and buy that the dang sure will make you, I mean, they're worth the money.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know. Hey, tell us, you got your embryo deal Friday night?
Yeah, that was
what time's that kick off?
that's at the dinner's at 4:30 and the sale's at 5:30.
Sales at 5:30.
And that's a deal. Do I have time to say anything about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the deal we started this year. I think it was me and you and Jakey. We were talking about, what's things we can do to make it better. And I can't even remember who said it, but we talked about bringing in other.
There's so many
our
awesome cow
customers.
families and that we've sold or that are influenced by our genetics. I think with the semen deal and marketing semen, I mean, we'd love to think that 1829 004 and some of those cows are the only great cows out there. There isn't. There are so many good cattle in other programs across the country. And it's really fun for us to be able to highlight some of those cattle and to bring them in here and show how they click with our genetics and show how they do those things and just give an opportunity, one, for some of those people to be able to market them, and two, for a lot of our customers to be able to utilize those genetics that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, we're pretty pumped on that.
We're really excited about it.
Yeah, I just took real quick to flip through there the other day, and it's pretty impressive what you guys dug out of some programs that usually they don't offer up stuff like that. So, but
And
hey,
then
thank y'all.
What's the schedule for Saturday then?
It starts at 11, and we're selling all the live cattle on
Fast
Saturday.
and furious all day long, Corey.
Fast and furious. Get to them opens.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
You betcha. Hey, guys, thank you all for taking the time. John, I know you just couldn't wait to be on here.
Yeah.
I know, but hey, thank you,
It
man,
wasn't
for
as bad as I thought it
taking
was
the
going to
time.
be.
No, shoot. Hey, I could tell you, listening to Corey and I sometimes has got to be just like the old fingernails on the chalkboard, and listening to you two tonight, that was good stuff. So thanks for taking the time to sit with us and visit. Thanks for what you do for this business, Jeannie. You're such an advocate for livestock in general. Those of you that don't follow Griswold social media, you're missing out. And so
Appreciate that.
it's busy at times, I'll say, but I can promise you, you're a very strong hold in your feelings about agriculture, and it's a blessing. So
I appreciate
thank you for that.
For all the young guys listening, or young people listening out there, don't be afraid of rejection. I've been told no way more than I've ever been told yes. Whether it's borrowing money, asking her out. I mean, seriously, I mean, don't be afraid of rejection. I just never bothered me. I mean, if someone said no, guess what? That made me just want to go get it somewhere else worse, as far as borrowing money.
Yeah.
That's
Good. Hey,
advice.
Jeannie, real quick before we
advice.
go, I called you today at noon, kind of fishing to see if I could get you. And you said, tell the story real quick before we go. Tell the story of what you told John about you've got to do this with me.
I told John when I lay down at night, it's not Jakey I cuddle up with, and that he better sit down and do this with me. I said, I do a lot of crap for you, and I said, you can sit down here and be on this. So
I love it. Hey, y'all, thanks for.
Jakey, I love you. I don't want to cuddle up with you, so I'm going to stick with old Johnny G here.
There you go. Hey, y'all, thanks for coming on tonight, and best of luck in the sale this weekend, and hope to see you there. So appreciate you.
See you, Brett. See you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Wow. How about it?
That's great. That was
Oh
awesome.
man, gosh, yeah, you betcha. Hey, we're going to keep rolling. We've been on here 49 minutes, and so it's been good. Segment 6 tonight, Cattlemen for Christ. We'll always finish with this little segment, and I sent a little deal to Paige, and she's been so busy tonight. I don't think we'll get it up this quick, but tonight's Joshua 1:9. Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And I'll tell you, I got that inspiration real quick from my wife. Those of you that know my wife and know my story of my wife, a year ago, September, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I can tell you the strongest woman I've ever met in my life is my wife, because through it all, she's been tough. She's been strong. And I know it's because of her faith in Jesus. And just Wednesday of this week, We finally get to close a little bit of chapter. She has her last surgery, scheduled surgery, that is, to close out what's been a heck of a year and 15, 16, 17 months for me and my family. But I can promise you, those of you that don't know my wife, Lacey, if you ever meet her and ask her about this past 15 months, she was never worried. She's got a relationship with Jesus. And I encourage you that don't, get you one, because at some point in your life, you're going to need him, and he'll be there just as quick as anybody you've ever known. So, hey, thanks for tonight, Corey. It's been good. Visiting with John and Jeannie. I never thought we'd get John on there, but gosh, he was good.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Looking forward to their drive marketing videos this week. Look for them to launch here sometime midweek here, I would imagine.
Yeah. Hey, and you're going to be down Classic, aren't you?
You bet. Yep, I'm
Good.
headed south. We got snow up here, so we're wanting to get out of the frozen tundra for a few days.
Hey, there's been snow at the Classic more often than not, so don't bring any of that jazz with you. So
you bet.
But yeah, hey, we'll be there.
All
right. Man, looking forward to it. It's always exciting. It's always quality. And how about I'll see you there, and if we can pick on somebody, maybe get a video of Jakey behind the scenes or something.
Sounds good. That sounds great, man.
You bet. Hey, enjoyed the visit with you tonight. See you.
You bet. See you in Stillwater Saturday. All right.
You bet. See you.